Right, Dev. Where do we start with this one? It was
It
coming. I
was
think
supposed it was
this night,
coming, so it's okay.
yeah, I think this night was bound to happen at one point, right? We're not gonna be here all season and talk about victories and 4-0 games and 5-1, 5-2 games every week. This had to happen. It was. I think the circumstances were a bit off, right? It feels like this is completely our own doing. This is completely our own fault. So that part hurts, but at the same time, there are still some positives, I guess. We did rest half of our players. We did rest our main players. There were no injuries. A couple of players had great games. Lamine scored a banger goal, which he normally does this season. But yeah, overall, a very disappointing night, I would say. How was the game for you? I mean, it's a dumb question, but just your thoughts, I guess. Let's start there.
Yeah, I'm not too fast, honestly. Like, yeah, we had to go through it. Like, I mean, you can't win all of them. If you are playing all of them, then you're running them to ground. And the team looks tired. They really look tired, number one. So you could see that. And you had to rotate the players somewhere or the other. There's a lot of games coming up. And now you can say, okay, now this one half, we should have not taken that person, but only that person. We should have taken, these logics. I don't know, it's a point of view from people to people, but we had to do it and we did it and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And beyond that also, I think there were certain situations like we were off, like the midfield passing was off. We lost a lot of balls in that first half
Mhm,
and we conceded those two goals. The
mhm,
second goal shouldn't have probably stood, even though we don't really talk about refereeing here and so on. So things just happened from that perspective. Um, the players are just not up. This is probably the Barcelona C side that you are playing, right? And you have a
exactly,
high
yeah.
line, and you have Brian
Mhm,
Zaragoza, and we talked about that. This is a problem. This will happen
mhm,
with teams. It hasn't happened till now. When we were discussing with the purists, this was discussed. That, somebody will crack this and they will feed the long ball and the offside trap will not work, and then we will struggle with that high line and then the way we play.
mhm,
And today was the
mhm,
perfect example of that, and it's going to happen again. Now sometimes, because we can build from the back so well with Inigo and Kubarsi, which was not there. Sergio Dominguez could not do that at all. I think the pressure was pretty high, and we just capitulated, and we never had any control of the game. Um, Lots of balls missed, lots. Like, it was terrible the way we managed the possession. And then all they had to do was long ball and Brian Zaragoza. It wasn't some amazingly tactically
yeah.
astute game or anything. It was pretty simple,
Mhm,
straightforward what was happening. Now, why didn't Flick do anything about it? Like, what could he do? And the question is, then he could have played the whole team. And then the question is, okay, then when do you rotate them and so on and so on. So it's what's supposed to happen, bound to happen. I think.
mhm. But I think that's the
And
kind of the point. I think people jump on this rotation thing a lot. It's true, yeah. I mean, you have to rest these players. They have to get rest. But maybe, and I was tweeting this during the game as well. Maybe the best time to actually rotate players individually, not collectively, mind you, is when you're actually 2 or 3 or 4 goals up, which we have been this season. We have been 3 or 4 goals up with Amin on the pitch, with Rafinha on the pitch, with Lewandowski still on the pitch. So I think that's actually the best time to rotate players. That's the best time to, okay, now Lamine, you come off, you've done your job, we're 4 goals up. There's nothing else for you to do out there apart from, stat pad, right? But that he's not there to stat pad. I mean, doesn't have to have outrageous numbers. He has to do what he does and be able to do it sustainably over the course of the whole season. Now, going to a game against Osasuna, you play a team that's in form, a team that has been indomitable this whole season at home. So they are in hot form, and you rotate half your squad. So this doesn't really surprise me. The results shouldn't surprise us because you can't change the whole team and expect the dynamics, the synergy, and the quality to remain the same. Because if it did, then we would have an insane squad, but we don't. We have a very thin squad, and this kind of it proves the point that these players that we have as our subs, these players that we have as our squad depth, they are decent, but they're not really good enough when push comes to shove, and this was push to shove kind of situation when you need your B, or I just call them C tier, because they are C players. They're not really players that you would want to ideally have as your backups for your Lamines and your Lewandowskis and your Rafinhas, because they don't really bring you a smidgen of their quality. Now, Pau Victor, maybe I think Pau Victor does have certain qualities that can help you in certain situations, but I think it all starts with that back line, and it all starts with the subs that you make, because Barca really, what I found to be true this game is they really struggled in that first phase. Kubarsi on the left didn't really have the same impact as Inigo on the left. And that's understandable because it's a left footer versus a right footer on the left, and it's a huge difference, right? The angles are all different, and Kubarsi can't access those players from the left going into the right side of the pitch as quickly and as efficiently as Inigo can. So that's a big change in itself. And then you have the midfield, Pablo Torre. I think the best time for us to notice Pablo Torre is always going to be when he manages to score or assist. If he doesn't do that, his basics, his fundamentals are just not Barca level just yet. And that was clearly visible just now. That's why we were kind of, criticizing him last week. When was it? When he was having a good game, he scored an assist, and we were like, okay, yeah, he did score an assist, but we're still kind of not sure about him. And people were all like, oh, how can you say that? But this is why, because he lacks so much. He lacks still so much, and it was quite
Not
visible,
just
Bev.
him, not just him. Come
Not just
on,
him.
the shot the fourth goal, right? That's
Yeah,
a shot you save. It's as simple as that, right? A lot of players are not first team material, and that's the truth. Now we can pretend that they are, but they're not. Sergi Dominguez is not a first team material player. I mean, some people, we are picking on them, right? But it is not their
yeah.
fault. You picked up
Hmm.
these kids from athletic, right, and they're doing the service for you because you don't have a the money, or b the whatever, everybody's
Yeah, yeah,
sick or what have you, right? How can you even put it on them? It's not their
yeah.
job. It's as simple as that. They did the best that they could. I mean, I see a lot of people picking up on Gerard Martin or what have you. What did that guy do wrong? Like literally that the rest of the team didn't. Okay, so
I
everybody
know.
was kind of bad today, and we can accept that. It's fine, and it's not like everything has broken down as well. I think we can
Yeah,
defeat this Osasuna pretty easily, if I'm not mistaken. If we had the right players in the right position, this is literally the C team. The A team is in the hospital. The B team is what has been playing, and they're also rotated out today. So this is a C team that's playing. Now, none of these
mm,
actually matter. Like, we shouldn't do excuses, and we shouldn't. Yeah, right. This is the team. This is the team. We lost fair and square. They played well. All credit to them.
hmm,
Really, they deserve the win. But you know, uh, with what we have been seeing with the highline that he plays, when there are mistakes, this can happen. For that highline to work, everything has to be picture perfect. Everybody has to
yeah,
play their role right to the T. If you don't, you're going to concede, and we saw that today. And it will happen again. Now, the only thing would be, it would have been good to go into the Clasico with maybe a game in hand, but you can't play a league of 38 games with that fear. You have to play, and
yeah.
you have to win. You have to win against the best teams, right?
Mhm.
And it's just what it is. So is it like doom and gloom? No, it's okay. Now, young boys, what it will be, maybe we want the obviously Flick wants the first game. Probably he's scared, he's worried, he wants to win that, and so on and so forth. So we will see. Alaves next week also is not going to be easy at all. So we're going to look into that. But let's take some questions. All right, Barcelona was so bad today, especially Gerard Martin, and Ferran Torres with his first touch was so poor. Ferran Torres is a first team player for the last 10 years, probably. I can take the criticism. Gerard Martin, he was like, what did the guy do wrong? So I understand he's not the best. I get it. But he was not supposed to be there, right? And for whatever reason, Flick wanted to give Balde a rest, and he doesn't trust Hector Ford that much. So he started Jared Martin. Now, do I know more than Flick? No. And do we have a better other player sitting there? No, we don't. So yeah, he's not the best, but he's hardly the worst. And hardly, there are tons of people made mistakes today. And then there was Ferran Torres. Yeah, I mean, Flick gave him a whole game, and he should have done better with the chances that he got, like the header at the end. And even in the first half, I think there were a couple of chances where he kind of, he didn't have the first touch, but he's not been playing. He doesn't have the confidence. His first touch never has been that good. He doesn't play in the position that he's strong at. So I think sooner or later, Barca's got to make a decision about Ferran Torres. He's not going to work in Barcelona, because if it had to, he would have worked till now. But yeah, Dom, your thoughts?
It's kind of the thing that we keep mentioning with Ferran Torres. The idea of Ferran Torres is still good. Like, the profile on paper still can solve issues for this Barca team. It can bring you utility, can bring you movement, can bring you poaching inside the box. But then Ferran Torres actually, when he plays, then you see very little of that theoretical part, right? You see very little in practice, actually. So that's the thing with him. He just can't seem to translate that onto the pitch consistently. And I was on the Ferran Torres train for a very, very long time, because he kept getting into these positions to score. And when a player does that consistently, which he does, he still does, he still gets into those positions. He can kind of smell the goal sometimes, but even though he smells it, he still doesn't have the final product to kind of, put everything together in the end. So he will have to do a lot more. That chance that he had, not the header was also kind of, should have gone in, but it was the chance before that when he
You're a
beat two players,
striker.
and then he
You're a
was.
striker or a nine or a winger. How?
I
And it's
know,
not
but
that this is your first year. You've been playing
yeah,
senior professional level football. You represent your country, right? You've been there. Come on.
I think the
Anyway, okay.
more than that
Seven
goal.
rotations is. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, give me a second. Yeah, so the more than that, it was the chance before that when he beat two
Yeah.
players, and then he had the angle to shoot, and then yes, credit to the goalkeeper who can close on the angle and then make the save. But I think that was Ferran's position to score, because he does score goals like that a lot. Usually he takes
Yeah.
it in his stride, and then he takes it first time even, and then he scores from that angle, coming into the box, crashing into the box. That's his thing, right? He needs to be able to do his thing consistently if he's going to be any part of this Barcelona team. So if he doesn't do that, then what are we talking about? So yes, Barca will have to make a choice sooner rather than later, but that's true for many players, not just Ferran Torres. But
Yeah.
is
Lots
Ferran
of
Torres
players. It's not
marketable?
just him.
Yeah, if he's marketable, Barca might just pull the trigger. But then also that puts Fati in a weird position just now, because why is Ferran getting all these minutes and Fati is not? Because what does
Yeah, that
Flick
was
know that
also
we
weird.
don't?
Like, I mean, how could have Fatih done any worse than what Ferran did? I have no idea. But whatever I mean, that's on, like, we don't know what happens, so we can't say. Okay, 7 rotations is madness. I have to disagree with you, Dev. This was not bound to happen at all. These losses to seasons. And then another one, not even Casado started. I cannot backflick with this mess. That's from Vandy. Vandy, you're right. You're right. These losses can derail. And you absolutely have all the right not to agree with me. That's fine, right? But the thing is, we've been saying Lamine plays all the time. Inigo plays all the time. All these players all the time. When are we going to rest them? When are we going to rest them? When are we going to rest them? Flick rested them. Now, there can be an argument that, okay, why did he rest 7 and not 5 and not 4 or 3 or what have you? That's on Flick, right? And we can blame him for sure, and we will. But that was his choice, and that was his decision, and that he made. And with the team that was out there, right, from the minute, like from whoever watched it, you knew it from the first minute what Osasuna's plan was. And we were struggling, and we have said it's even before, even in the Monaco game, we said this after the Monaco game. And even with Girona, we said this, right? As long as that offside trap works and that high line works, it's great. But the moment it doesn't, like everybody does not do their role specifically, we are going to suffer. Not just with Osasuna, other teams as well, right? So yes, and it is madness. 7 rotations is completely madness. We can say that maybe we could have done 2 rotations and gone into young boys and we would have still won. I can't speak for Flick, right? He made the choice and he gave the rest that was probably needed or what have you. And this is the outcome. Now, is it the end of everything? No, probably. It's fine. I do think that it's not derailing, like, it doesn't change a whole lot in my mind. We would have lost here or there somewhere. So the fact that it happened now, it gives us more time in the league to understand where the problems are, to understand what we need to strengthen in the winter window, to work it out, and so on. Dom.
I'll just repeat what I've said in the beginning of the stream. rotations are not bad. Rotations were needed badly, right? But you don't rotate 7 players at once. I completely agree with Van Lee there. You don't want to rotate 7 players at once because that messes up the whole synergy, the whole dynamics, the whole overall quality of the team. But not only that, we had chances in this season to rest players. That's what's bothering me. You had chances to rest Lamine Yamal 2 or 3 or 4 games this season easily when you were 2 or 3 goals up. That's when you sub Lamine off and give him 50 minutes here, 50 minutes there, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and then you get him the rest that he needs. Not like this, right? Or you start Lamine today and try and get the job done by minute 60 or something, and then you take him off, right? So I feel like this wasn't Flick. It was a decision that has gone bad, definitely, because it doesn't make much sense, right? So I'm not going to sit here and pretend, okay, I would have done better, because I wouldn't have, definitely
We
not.
don't know.
But at the same time, we can acknowledge that this is a miscalculation from his part. I think you don't do this against this team like in that way, right? So Osasuna at home this season are just unbeatable, right? And you go there with your C team. That's just it's asking for trouble. That's my biggest thing with this
Yeah,
tonight. But yeah, it is what
100%.
it is.
El Sadar is never an easy place. Even when we have won scrappily the last few times. So it was never going to be easy, and it wasn't easy. And we went with a childish lineup. So and they punished us, absolutely punished us for it. Now a lot of questions about, yeah, I hope Flick learns from this. They should have been prevented if you were resting Lamine and Rafinha while we were winning by big margins. Again, this is we are speaking in hindsight. We didn't know we would be winning by margins, right? So you can say that, okay, when it's, when we have scored 5 goals, you take some people off and then you save them. That doesn't work that way. If you want to rest somebody, you arrest somebody. So in hindsight, everything's fine. Everything can be done. But managers, when they are making that choice, they don't have hindsight. They have to take a proactive decision. Some go right, some go wrong. Now this one for Flick obviously went wrong. There's no question about that. Now, what should he have done? He could have done many things probably, but would it have been still difficult? I think it would still have been difficult. I think Pedri was still there, but he lost a lot of balls. Our midfield lost insane number of balls. Pedri and Pablo Torre were still there. Eric Garcia was also there. But if you look at the number of the number of times we're dispossessed in the first half, in that space between minute 10 and minute 45, right? I think it was going to be hard. The game plan was very clear. They set up in a way where they could disrupt the midfield play. They could pick the balls off, and then long balls into the fast wingers. Ante Budimir stationed right up. Simple game plan, right? And they stuck to it, and they did very well. And they ran off their socks, and we couldn't do much about that. Now, your point is, we crushed the confidence of Ansu, Dominguez, Kubarsi, Gerard Martin, and Pina. Well, if their confidence is going to be crushed by this, then they're not worth it, honestly. Honestly, somewhere or the other, they'll have to learn. And by putting better team members against them and what have you, safeguarding them, is that the best thing? Maybe not. That doesn't mean that what Flick did was right. But confidence, come on. You got to play for, these clubs in the first level and make those kind of big bucks and, all of that stuff. Then you got to live with this. And somewhere we got to stand up and so on. So yes, it will have the fallout it has, but yeah, I mean, the whole game from minute one wasn't for us. Tom,
I think even a full power Barca don't really cruise through this
they
game,
wouldn't have.
right? It would have been a tough game, regardless of the lineup. So these kids were bound to struggle from the minute one. And I feel like, yeah, I would agree with the fact that, okay, if these subs cannot be relied upon in these situations, then yeah, that kind of signals that they might not be good enough at all, right? So this is the type of game that they have to, really buckle up and take their chances, right? They have to give their best foot forward, and I don't think they have done this today. But that's also kind of the whole collective problem, because you can't expect them to be in sync. You can't expect them to have the same synergy, the same dynamic as the team that plays week in, week out together. So that's also something that disrupts the team. But yes, in general, I think individually speaking, they should have done better. But yeah, to someone's point in the chat, even when Balde came on, when these players came on, they didn't really
It
make
wasn't
much
we
of
were
it.
playing champagne
Right.
football
It
when all
wasn't.
the
Yeah,
people
yeah.
came.
So
We
yeah, so
struggled.
we and that was also the collective thing because I felt like Barca were very very bad at tempo control today. So they didn't know when to slow down, when to speed up.
The team was
A lot of
tired.
play was they were tired, but yeah, okay. When the subs came on, all we did was hoof the balls forward. We would put everyone forward and just we skip the midfield as we have normally done last season. And last season that never worked for us. So why would it work now, right? So the team is the same, so it's never going to work again. So I feel like the game plan once we were actually 2 goals down and we got some players on the pitch, it was still too panicky, right? We were still not confident in our ability to, okay, we can still play at our own tempo and play our own game and win, which we have done numerous times this season when we played at our own tempo and still scored 5 goals. We didn't rush things. We knew when to slow down and we still scored the goals. Tonight we didn't have any of that. We were kind of rushing things. We were kind of looking for Lamine every action, which is understandable, of course, but we were kind of looking at him in the wrong situations, right? We were not really thinking, okay, now is the time to slow down and access him slowly, strategically. We were just hoofing the ball and hoping for the best. And that doesn't work for Barca, right? It might work for mid-table teams that have these high strikers, tall strikers, like Budimir, for example. And we struggle with them. We struggle when there's tall people in our box. Our center backs cannot deal with that. We have Inaki Peña, who is not a great shot stopper and goal. So this combination was always going to be detrimental for us, and it was. So that's in that sense, this kind of was to be expected. But then individually, to these people's points in the chat, yes, individually this was not at the right level either. So there's a lot to unpack there, just from that one thing.
Yeah, but I think we can just we don't need to overanalyze and criticize this. It's okay. The players have done a terrific job till now, and sometimes there will be an off day, and today was an off day. A lot of players weren't up to scratch today. The way they played to what we saw on the pitch now. Why there can be many questions and so on and so forth, but I think it's okay. Sometimes it happens. Now today it happened. It could have happened someday again, and yes, it can have impact, but it's okay. It's all right. I personally feel it's fine. It happened. The scoreline was 4-1. Obviously, doesn't make good reading, but there's no need to go after and castigate somebody specifically that, okay, it was your fault or your fault or your fault. I think the whole team was at
Oh,
fault. The team
absolutely.
wasn't
It's
at
all about the
scratch. The
response
selection
now.
was all over the place. It was a tough away ground. They played superbly. Whatever they got, they converted. And sometimes that's how football is, a game of inches, right? Now, if a couple of those offside traps come along, then you're like amazing, you're a great strategy. It fails, and then you're struggling to catch on the ball, and it's like, okay, we don't know how to play. It's just a matter of inches and so on. So, but let's take some more questions. Okay, these let's take something from the bottom because. So what did Xavi see in Ferran? He's so bad, I can't deal with him any longer. When I saw the lineup, I said to myself that Barca was going to struggle. 7 first players rested is not a good one. Yeah, of course, Barca struggled. What did Xavi see in Ferran? I don't know. Maybe he saw the Ferran from Valencia, who was a really good player. And even the Ferran in Manchester City was not very bad. But the one who has played in Barca hasn't been to that level. Now, there are people who like Ferran. There are people who don't like Ferran. And there is, each one has their own points. But fact of the matter is, has he done enough for Barca in terms of contribution? I don't know. I don't think so. But again, that's just a personal opinion. Many people will feel that he has, and that he's a useful squad player, and we should keep him. But I mean, a useful squad player who has to come to use at some times, in the toughest of times or in the games that there matters. It's just been very few like that from Ferran, in my point of view. Tom.
Could just be that he's more of a bench player who comes in late and tries to salvage things and kind of score the goals.
Maybe.
Because as a starter, he's never been impressive, and there's a psychological part in that I don't fully grasp. I can't really overanalyze here, or because I'm not really an expert in that, but he seems to perform better when he comes off the bench, and then
Off the
there's kind
bench.
of less pressure. And that, yeah, he kind of a squad player in that sense. He comes in and does his thing. He gets 1 or 2 or 3 chances late on when players are tired. Maybe the concentration kind of drops from the defenders, and then he can capitalize on that. Maybe that's what Ferran should be at Barca. But then you don't really splash 50 odd million or how much we did spend on him if you're going to have him just a squad player who gets 20 odd minutes every game. And then even if he's that, you have Ansu Fati, who is obviously an academy player and stylistically and profile was very similar to Ferran Torres, only in my mind still with better upsides than Ferran, apart from the maybe the purely physical aspect that we don't know in which state Ansu Fati is right now. So we can't really say even that is on Ferran's side. So I feel like not having Ansu in this squad in these moments is kind of a weird thing to do, because Ansu
Yeah.
at
I
least
thought he
buries.
should start
Yeah,
today. I genuinely thought, like, when will you give him the chance? If you cannot give him, like, we
yeah,
are already
exactly.
making all these risks, go all the way, give him that chance, let him play and see what happens. But
It's
it never happened.
it's
So
weird because Ansu is clearly down that hierarchy, and I'm not sure he should be, because Ansu buries those chances 8 times out of 10 that Ferran had today. Right? I still feel Ansu does that, and that does it much more consistently than Ferran Torres. So it's very similar where they do both have ball striking, they both have good movement, but then Fati, when he actually gets into those positions, he rarely misses, and that's something that he, at least on paper, should not lose. Even through the injuries, loss of confidence can obviously impact that, and does impact that heavily. But I feel like that's something that he won't lose, that instinct, because he's a very instinctive finisher. Ferran is a system finisher. That's a very,
yep.
very big difference between the two. Ferran needs repeatability of actions. He needs the same actions every single game, and he will thrive off of that, and he will score goals if you give him that repeatability over the weeks, over the season. Ansu Fati is different. You put him in any situation, he will create angles on his own. He will create a shot opportunity for himself without you having to create that for him. So he's not purely a finisher, he's an instinctive finisher, something like Lewandowski, for example. Ferran is not. He's a system finisher. He needs a system around him to be perfect and to be created so that he can recognize the patterns every single game and then repeat them every single game. That's how he scores goals.
Well, whatever the reason, I mean, we have all talked about Ansu, and the fact is, yes, but he hasn't got the chance. He didn't get the chance today. It's so bad that when the tie is dead at 4-1, and we have Sergio Dominguez hobbling, and Flick still sends out Hector Ford. Like, what are we going to, like, score another goal? What could he change? He could have just let that player come on for 10 minutes and play. He didn't even do that. Like, so yeah, there are so many other things about and we don't know. The answer is we don't know. Right? We can pretend to know, but we just don't know why that can happen. Somebody said, Andrea says, you can't tell me heavy rotations were a good idea against Osasuna away instead of Getafe at home, considering their form. You're right. You're absolutely right. Point is, Barca with this lineup cannot afford to rotate anyone, literally, because these are the last, the finally recognized kind of players, the barely minimum out there that they have. So if they've got to play seriously, right, against any of these teams which are really, really good, they can't afford to rotate. Like, who would have they rotated? Half of Balde, half of Casado, half of Lamine. Anybody who you take out from that lineup, it's already so paper thin. The squad becomes absolutely decimated. It's already paper thin, even with those players, right? That the midfield is just not there, and we have patchworked, and it works, and we've been winning, so it's okay. But let's be honest, that is just not a first team level structure or squad that Flick has. He has been just making do. So yes, he shouldn't have rotated today, and he shouldn't have rotated at Osasuna, or at Getafe, right? Or he should have in both. Now, there can always be, when we win, it's all fine. When we lose, it's all wrong. So today we've lost. So obviously, everybody feels bad. But how do you see that? In hindsight, it's easy to see, but how do you see that in the future? And if you see that in the future, then you say, okay, I'm going to go with my best team, which means I'm not rotating anyone, right? That's what anybody would do. Is that feasible? Probably not, right? All right, let's keep going with some more thoughts. Obviously, next transfer window, we need to sign Brian Zaragoza and bench him as he scores beautiful goals every time against us. What do you think? Well, there are these players like, Barry Aspas, Brian Zaragoza. There are these players who love playing against us, and they score against us. But if Brian Zaragoza was really a good player, why is he at loan in Osasuna? Why isn't he starting for Bayern, is my question. He made that transfer. He made that shift, went for that higher league, right? Here, too, I mean, as long as as he had that opportunity, and the game plan was fairly simple, right? Play the second ball or the long ball into Brian Zaragoza high line, and he's just running right. That's good. He performs well against us. Does he do the same against every team? He doesn't, right? So would he actually be a great signing? I don't know. I don't think so. But Dom, interested in your thought.
Stylistically, he kind of brings that Dembele factor, that Nico Williams factor. And I feel like if we had those type of, well, we had Dembele for quite some time, and people were very, very displeased with his inconsistency. But these wingers, these types of wingers, will give you inconsistency a lot because they try a lot of things. They are volume actions type of players where they will try 10 dribbles, two will maybe come off, and then people will say, oh, he's a bad player. So that's how it works in reality with Zaragoza as well, because he will do these exceptional things, but he won't do them consistently every game, like 10 out of 10 times. That just doesn't happen. If he did, he will be playing for Bayern, as Dev said, for example. Yeah. So I feel like, yeah, on a day against Barca, players often step up, especially these mid to low table teams that have a lot to prove, and they get Barca to come to their grounds, and the fans go crazy. Tickets are sold left and right and center, and they want to entertain the masses. They want to show up to the game like fully pumped, and that's what happens. There's numerous examples of those kind of players and teams actually stepping up against Barca and then getting battered by Getafes and I don't know, Celta Vigos and so on and so forth. Because against Barca, when you play against Barca, it's a privilege in a way, and you kind of give 150% of yourself, and that's a real thing because psychology plays a huge part in these matchups. So it's similar thing with Osasuna. They've been waiting for this win for, I don't know, 12 years or something. So it's I mean it's
no,
true.
and they deserve it, and they should enjoy this movement.
Yeah.
They won fair and square, man. I mean, it's true.
They did.
Okay, so somebody said that about
yeah.
the second goal. Sorry, Dom?
No, I said it was our own making, but yeah, it was totally deserved because they took.
You have to give them the
that.
credit. It can be our making,
Yeah,
but they
absolutely.
won fair and square. Like there was nothing wrong in the way they won it, so they deserve the credit. Somebody said about the second goal. Yes, we feel that the second goal should not have stood, but the fact is that's what refereeing and VAR is for. We don't really discuss VAR or refereeing here, like because we can discuss, like we can have a point of view, but nothing changes. The decision has already been made. To us, it felt like, yeah, it shouldn't have stood. And if that goal didn't stand at that time, the momentum shifts and, many things happen. So could, should, would, we can debate. But the fact is it wasn't. VAR wasn't checked and it wasn't given. And the goal stood. And that's just what it is. We can't do much about that. We can feel bad about it. But it's just what happened. All right. The biggest... somebody said our coaches Van Lee says coaches are not realizing how easy it is to qualify for CL round of 16. Investing for young boys is puzzling to me. I would agree with that. I would have thought that, okay, young boys probably we can manage, but I don't know. Flick has his own point of view. He's got pressures from the board or what have you. He needs to show a win. I just have no idea. Right?
That could be it there because we lost to Monaco, so he doesn't want to risk the second game as well.
That's the thing. Like the Monaco loss will affect him, right? Another one, and you will see the papers coming out. With headlines and so on. So I think
you see with many. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on.
No.
No. Just wanted to say that you see it already with a lot of fans because we said this early in the season. There, we said a defeat will come. Struggle will come, and then everyone will turn on Flick. Everyone will say, "Oh, all these young players, these stars that we have, these exemplary talents that we have, will no longer be shiny new toys. They will be, oh, they are too bad. They're not old enough. They're not mature enough. We said this would come, so let's not do that now because this is one game, one loss in the first 7 games. If someone had told you that at the start of the season, would you take that deal?
I would have taken it. I would have run with
everyone would have said yes. Give me 6 wins and 1 defeat after 7 match days of La Liga, including Villarreal, Athletic Club, including
and all away.
Getafe, yes. Yeah, so I think we all would have taken that deal, and we said, okay, this day would come, and we would all then turn on our players. So let's try not to turn on our
Let's try
players
and not
because
do
yes,
that. Yeah. I mean, we all feel bad. It sucks to
yeah,
lose 4-1, guys. And we are
Mm,
also feeling it, right? But
mm,
it's a paper thin squad, man. I don't know
mm,
how we are doing this. Those kids should not be playing full time professional, first team football day after day. They're
mm,
just not ready yet, half of them. And as long as that happens, we are going to suffer. And today we kind of suffered. Now, is young boys amazing? I have never seen them play for the longest time, so I don't know how they are. But in Champions League, not a single game is easy. And I
yeah,
think if Flick loses tomorrow, there'll be a lot of pressure on Flake, like not tomorrow, Tuesday. So I think there's some fear that he has, and that's what he has optimized for. Whether that's right or wrong, that's beside the point, and whether the mathematical calculation is coming that, okay, even if we lose this one, we're still going to qualify. Fear is fear. He's a new coach. He's been there barely for 3 months, and Laporta,
yeah,
being Laporta, he can smile and then fire you at the same time. We've seen that many times. So, you know,
yeah.
I think that fear played in his mind. And yes, this defeat does negate a lot of things, like if tomorrow in the derby, let's say Atleti win, right? It would have given us an
Hmm.
enormous advantage over Madrid, right? Which will not be there. And that is
Mm,
true. But the point is, we are also a club which is very focused on, okay, what's Madrid doing? And so we need to do, I mean, to stop that. Like, if you've got
exactly.
to win, we've got to win. We've got to win irrespective of Madrid playing good. We can't always run away. We have to win
Yeah.
by defeating them. We have to win by playing well, right? So I mean, from that perspective, I think, yeah, I mean, sure, it would have been good, but there is no guarantee that it would have been a walk in the park with this Osasuna away at El Salvador. I don't think so.
Th-
So it is what it is now. It is the score. Now we'll have to hope that with young boys we win or what have you, and then with Alaves we have a good performance out there. Let's have some more questions.
yeah. See,
Tom, why don't you to choose one?
yeah, I'll just try and reverse this a little bit for our viewers here. So let me ask you a question, guys. Right. So there's this whole discussion about should we rather lose La Liga games or Champions League games? Because okay, we can actually compete for La Liga. We are actual challengers. In the Champions League, the chances of winning the whole thing are kind of not really great. So would you rather lose to Osasuna tonight if it's guaranteed winning against Young Boys, or would you rather we won tonight but then we lost to Young Boys on Tuesday? Would you? So what would you rather take, guys? Let us know in the comments. And while you do that, I will pick a new question, which we can discuss there. Let's see. Let's go a bit down. Ferran, yeah, Ferran. We talked a lot about Ferran, guys. I think we should give the guy a rest a little bit. He'll be having hiccups all night. Zaragoza, lots of Pablo Torre as well. I guess Pablo Torre just proved our point from last time
He's
around,
just
where
not
it
first
was
team material.
yeah,
He'll
he's
never
not.
be.
Maybe it depends. I mean, he can be something of a squad player, but at the moment, definitely not a first team player. Him and Casado, even though they, how old is Pablo Torre? Is he because Casado
20s,
is
21?
20? Oh wait, Pablo Torre is 21. Casado is 20. All right. So see the difference between those two players. Casado plays like he's been a part of this team for a
10
very long
years.
time. And not just the B team. I kind of feel like he belongs to the first team, even though he has his flaws. He's not a perfect player. He's not gonna. People say he's better than De Jong. He's not better than De Jong. Let me just put that out there immediately. I adore Casado, and I've been a fan of Casado for the last 4 years. I want to say because I've
Many
been on my
years.
first. Yeah, my first report on Casado was in 2000, I think, or something like that. 2020. Yeah, yeah. So I've been following him steadily since then, but I don't think that he's better than De Jong. That just does not happen. But he is better than Pablo Torre. Not
Yep.
just in what he brings technically, but he's also the mentality that he has, the leadership that he has, the composure, the way that he reads the play is all. I think it's all above Torre's level. So in my book, he starts over Pablo Torre anywhere, any day.
Any day
Right.
of the week.
So
Yeah.
Any day of the week, yeah, yeah. So it's kind of it's tricky with Pablo Torre. He has some qualities, but if as I've said, if you don't see him score an assist, he will do very little of other things to impress
Of
you
anything
over the 90
else,
minutes.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's kind of tricky. People are calling for him to be a number 10 for Flick, but you have to understand that Flick's 10 has so much responsibility on and off the ball that I don't think Torre can handle that. I don't think he can. Even in this game, you saw Torre dropping deeper next to Eric, and Pedri was pushed up because I don't think
Yeah.
Flick trusts Torre to be the 10, and he shouldn't. He shouldn't, honestly. So yeah, that's kind of my view on Torre.
No, I agree with you
Which
completely.
yeah,
I think we have seen enough of him over the last few years, and the chances that he has got. I think he's a good player. He's got some skill sets and so on and so forth. But in the way we play, in the system that Barca play, and the kind, it'll be hard for him to nail a starting spot anytime soon in that midfield. So. Yeah, he can be a squad player, but he's never going to be a differential player for Barca. Can be for other teams, absolutely, but not for Barca. Not at the level that he's playing right now. There's no shade at him. He's a good player. It just doesn't fit with what we're trying to do and so on. All right, let's go into some other stuff. There's some stuff about Kunde. Is Kunde good or Kunde bad? Kunde lacks attacking instincts, not good in a high line. And what else? What else is there on Kunde? But let's take those two. I think those are the kind of
yeah, we can do
No,
Kunde. Yeah,
Dom, you
why
go
not?
first on Kunde, and then I'll go.
On Kunde, yeah, his attacking instincts are when he overlaps. Yeah, obviously not the best. He's much better deeper and the half spaces. We talked about this a lot. I'm not going to repeat myself too much, but that's where he belongs. Deeper, outside of the block distribution, that's Koundé's thing. Defending that open space that he leaves behind him, yeah, he can't do that. He can't go all the way up and then all the way back. No, he won't. He won't make up for that space. He just
Which is
won't.
why
It's all.
Araujo's positioning was so
Yeah, he's
important and his game reading.
yes, it was, and it's all about it's all about the strides, right? His body composition. He's not lanky. He doesn't run in big strides. He doesn't reach top speed quickly, and he doesn't maintain top speed very efficiently. And that's a problem when he has to tackle as well. Players that are kind of lanky, that can kind of wrap their legs around you and dominate all angles when tackling. Those players, like Busquets, for example, and even Bernal has that to a certain extent. Even Balde could do it, but not as much. But these kind of players, they can dominate those 1 versus 1 duels. They can track back as well, and so on and so forth. Kunde doesn't have that. Someone mentioned crossing for Kunde, or stopping the cross for Kunde, because that was from his side. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
That's also due to his limbs, to be very blunt with you, because he has to, when you have shorter legs, you have to lean into the tackle, right? You have to go all the way into the your marker, your other player rival, because you can't reach him otherwise. If you have longer legs, you can stay a bit back, you can tackle the ball while keeping the distance, if that makes sense, right? He has to commit. Kunde has to commit fully to make that tackle count, and if he doesn't commit perfectly, like the timing is not right, he gets done by easily. Well, not easily, but he gets done by often. And that's what has been happening with Kunde in 1 versus 1 situations. So I'm not saying he's bad. He's had a good season, and he has his use. I think as a right back, he does a lot well. But these things that we've just mentioned are some of the flaws, right? It doesn't mean that he's a bad player, but he has some things that,
Also, I
are
mean, if it's,
faulty.
I don't know, Dom. I mean, is it a flaw, right? I mean, is he a winger? He's not a
No,
winger.
he's.
So why are we
Mm,
expecting him to do winger things? Number one, as a defender, I think Jules Koundé is a great defender. He will be among the top
mhm,
10 defenders out there in the world somewhere. And we're lucky to have
mhm,
him. But the fact is, he can't play in center back, in which is his actual position, where he wants to play. Yes, he has made that adjustment into right back. But when right back, and we have seen this, just got to see any game last year. When Koundé is overlapping and we have faced a counter, every single time it was Araujo's pace and game reading that saved us. Every single time. We don't have him right now. And Kubarsi and Inigo are very good in playing from the back, but they don't have that, what Araujo has.
mhm,
And so we struggle, right? Is that Kunde's fault? Flick is asking him to really go up, because in Flick's game plan, Lamine inverts inside. So Lamine isn't the one who is feeding the crosses. So somebody has to underlap and go and then feed the crosses in, and that's Kunde. So he becomes a right back, he becomes a winger, he's offensive, he's at the penalty box. Then you have a counter, and Brian Zaragoza running towards the goal, and he's trying to track back. It's never going to work, man. Doesn't mean he's a bad defender. He's a great defender. It's just the way we play. And now that's on the coach to figure out. Like Tom always says,
Mhm.
like, how do you play to your players' strengths, right? Is
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
what his strength? It isn't. So why are we making him do it? And then when he can't do it, we're saying, oh, you suck, right? Now you become inverted something, or you become, something else. But that just is, he's a great defender. Like with just look at France in Euros, he was great. Look at any of the games that he has been playing with us, with Barca, pretty good. So I don't think it's a Kunde problem. He's good. No defender will be perfect. No winger will be perfect. No right back will be perfect. Everybody will have some flaws or the other. We have to accept that much. But let's also, be happy about the fact that we've got somebody so good, right? He's really
Mhm.
good, but he's not a winger. We are expecting him to do classic winger things, and be and pace and be very creative and dribble and cross and then track back and then save the goal also. Come on, man. It's one guy, right? So
Yeah.
it's on Flick to figure out how to use and how to get the best out of him. That's on Flick. That's not on Kunde. But he's doing what the coach has asked him to do. If he is
Mhm.
standing right up there in the penalty box half the time, is because Flick has asked him to do that. That's why he's there, right?
Yeah.
And that causes us issues because then we have nobody. And somebody said there's a slow Dominguez and there's a slow Kubarsi as in a high line, and that's suicidal. And yes, that is suicidal, and we saw that from that
Mhm.
perspective.
And then,
All right,
but then again,
go ahead.
on the flip side, then, if you have Araujo in there, you don't have Inigo there. We saw what this team without Inigo looks like. Well, or a
Looks
team
like,
that
yeah,
doesn't have that distribution from the back now because we struggle. That first line that's meant to be the
it
super
just didn't
vertical,
create
quick
today.
line.
It was just gone.
Didn't we were passing the ball from left to right to left, slowly and ponderously. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't penetrate that block. We couldn't really access those primary targets. And what ended up happening is you had Pedri dropping very much deeper than in the second half. He was seeing more the ball. We had a back three of sorts in the second half as well, and that kind of helped us. It helped progression. It put Pedri on the ball a bit more, and that's how we fixed it. But if you this was kind of a preview of what it would look like without these ball playing center backs, because they are the foundation of Flex philosophy at the moment. Without them, it all kind of falls apart, and that was what was evident in the first half as well. So how do we solve that? Because if you put Kubarsi on the left, who is a ball play center back, it's not the same as Inigo because of the angles are different. He can't access those players the same way and as quickly as Inigo can. So it's a problem. It's a big problem because if your backline is your key in distribution, and you lost Ter Stegen, you lose Inigo if Araujo replaces him. So what will you do? Suddenly, you don't have those tools anymore. You
You
have to
don't have
change
the build up
everything.
at all. The build up's gone
Yeah,
completely.
yeah, so you have to. So what will happen is we'll play the young, and the young will drop into the back line. That's what will happen. I can tell you right now, if we play Araujo, we'll have the young or Pedri in the back line and then moving the ball forward. That's what will happen because otherwise the build-up will just be gone. It won't exist. And Flick wants build-up. He wants quick, vertical, direct build-up. He wants that. He needs that speedy build-up. Yeah. So it's a tough one. And then if you put the
Yeah,
young
it's an
deeper,
absolute tough one.
it's yeah. So if you put the young deeper, that's a domino effect because you would rather have the young higher and access him higher than access him deeper. It's always like that because he's closer to the goal if he's in midfield. It's just as simple as that, right? So it's a domino effect. It's one thing causes a change in the other phase as well because that's how football works. So it will be interesting to see because at this moment, Indigo and Kubarsi are the perfect flick center backs that we have.
At this
So,
moment, yes.
but then
At this
again,
moment.
in the high line, Araujo is the perfect center back in the
Yeah,
high
the
line.
moment you have
You
a
can't
high
have
line
both.
and this kind of a
Yeah,
game, I mean,
yeah, yeah.
I
So,
don't think even Inigo and Kubarsi are as good as him. They're just not.
mm,
They're
no,
just not
no,
their skill set and so
no,
on.
no,
So
absolutely.
it's got, there's no easy answer. And somebody said, like, he's not Barca level CB or Barca level RB. What is Barca level CB or Barca level RB? Is it Gerard Piqué? Like Gerard Piqué 2014 to 2018? Well, very rare to get those players every day. That much, we can all safely assume, right? So, um, we are lucky we have what we have. I think is he's good enough. He does an incredible shift in most matches. Today it was scratchy, but the whole team was scratchy today. Absolutely, from minute 1 to minute 97, it was just terrible. We all saw that, and it's just sad. And then we lost, but it is okay. Nothing's broken down completely. I think somebody said, Shopnil said that we should have our feet on the ground, and and La Liga is what the focus should be. Yes, it is 100%. Like if we can just do the first round in Champions League, reach the round of 16, good enough, man. Focus on La Liga. Try to win
Yeah.
it to the best of your capability. If you can do that, that's awesome. Even if you can't, you're second with this team, with this squad. That's insane. That's insane, because this is not going
It
to be the
is.
situation forever. We're going to change, right? And so revisionist, it's easy because we are angry right now. We've lost, and nobody likes losing, so we're like everything needs to change and so on and so forth, right? But it did feel, somebody, Shubham said today it was a nostalgic. It was. I just felt it was like Xavi last year, man. It was the same. We were running, and Brian Zaragoza was scoring goals, and it was all over the place. No control, no nothing. I literally felt it was like last season, which I didn't feel the last 7 games or what have you. So it's something for Flick to probably learn, and I'm sure he's learning. I'm sure
Yes.
he didn't become a coach just like that. So Tom, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's all about the response now, because this is kind of a momentum killer in the worst possible time. I mean, there's never a good time to kill your momentum, but with the Classico coming on and Bayern coming on and all these games coming on, you just have to somehow stay in the game until you reach those crucial games that you have to win, or you have to show up to actually not get embarrassed or stuff like that, right? So it's all about the response now. How do we respond after, against young boys and then Alaves, and then going to the Classico and so on and so forth? So how does Flick go from this heavy defeat that was solely on him? Yes, okay, mostly on him. How does he respond to that? Because we need that. Last time we lost to Monaco, we had a good response moving forward. So if we can see that again, then that's good. I'm happy with that. This defeat had to come at one point, but how do we recover from defeats? How do we pick ourselves up and say, okay, we'll dust ourselves off, put the crown back on the head. Let's go. Just let's smash some more kids, right? So that's how it should work for Barca, and hope it does. That's what I'm looking forward to now. The response, team selection, and what has Flick learned from this defeat. That's the thing to look
Yeah,
at.
it'll be interesting to see what we do against young boys. And then obviously the next week there's a very important game with Alaves right now, which we'll kind of have to win before we go into the break, because then right after that you have the Clasico and all the other games that are coming through. So it's going to be really, really interesting from that perspective. It's also interesting what happens tomorrow at the Derby.
Yeah.
So many things can happen. A league can get complicated or quirky anytime. So it'll be interesting to watch that from that perspective. Let's take a couple of more before we sign off. Which one do we go with?
Who's between the sticks next weekend versus Alaves?
Barca now have the worst squad in the last 15 years. Okay, Dom, you go, and then I'll take this one. Go ahead.
Who's between the sticks? I think Pena remains between the sticks. I don't think that Chesney just comes in and he's suddenly the starting goalkeeper.
I doubt
don't think that happens. They'll give Pena his couple of weeks, see how he performs, and then see how his replacement performs in training. How it's kind of weird.
Poor guy, he comes in and we concede 4 goals. It's like,
I
not even
I know.
his fault completely, but it will be okay. Pena ships 4 goals. Like last time he did 32 of them. It's just bad.
Yeah, I know. What was the second one? The squad being bad. I don't think it's bad. It's just thin. It's very thin, right? Okay, beyond the starting 11, you don't have much quality. That's true. But the first 11 has quality. And once we do get some of the injured players back, then you get more quality depth as well. So I feel like, no, this squad is good, and we saw what this squad can do in the first 6 games, right? This squad can achieve a lot in La Liga. This squad can win La Liga, but this squad needs to stay fit to win La Liga, right? So that's kind of that.
Every player has to be fit.
Yeah,
but I do agree with one point on that. that we should have kept Faye. And I think we wanted to keep Faye.
Oh,
The only reason Faye went away is because of Dani Olmo. And that I think his agent clearly said in an interview as well, that because of the money involved and because of the transfer, everything that happened, they had to make it, because they both have the same agent, Faye and Dani Olmo. They have the same agent. So he made that happen so that Barca had the necessary, salary lever or what have you to make that signing come through and then register him and all of that stuff. And that's why Mika had to go. Now we still have control on him, and I think he played very well last night against PSG. That's what I read. I didn't see the game, so I won't be able to say. But I do think, yes, we should have kept another person like Mika Faye for days like this. We at that end we sold like literally a lot of people, which made our squad incredibly thin
mhm.
with just academy players everywhere. Now, obviously, we are saying, oh, our academy is the best in the world and, they can go and win everything. No, they can't. They can't. Some players are good, but they can't win these kind of games day in, day out. It's just not possible, because then they would have won with Barca Athletic the whole league, and they would have been, it just doesn't happen that way. So, um, that's going to be a challenge, and it's a very thin squad, and this will be like Flick will really have to work through every opponent, work through his best people, use them in the right time, and just mathematically figure this out somehow until the winter break. And hopefully by the winter break we have some money, whatever, $5 or $10, to go and buy some players that we genuinely need. And hopefully by that time some players come back. Like we are hearing about, Frankie de Jong leaving the club or being pushed out. Maybe he's pushed out, but even if he's pushed out, it would be good to have him on the pitch for the duration of this season and for him
Yeah.
playing. At least I would absolutely say that. And then Araujo coming back, and we have quite a few of them out. Once they come out and we get a couple of, maybe one or two good players in, the situation won't be as rough that what we are seeing right now. And hopefully that will be good enough for the actual run. The run for La Liga will be from February onwards till the end. That's when it will be decided. It won't be decided right now, never is. So it's okay that we have dropped point this early. It's fine. Enough time to make up. Hopefully, it'll be interesting to see what we do against young boys, so as to say.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, Last question. Um, do you guys think Eric Garcia is no fit for a CDM position? He doesn't perform well there. What do you think? No, I don't think so. I don't think Eric Garcia is a fit for a CDM. But I will let Dom go deeper.
I know. I don't want to repeat myself too much because we keep talking about Eric Garcia and on all these topics every single week because people want to know, and that's fair enough. And Barca football, yes, we see you, and this will go on YouTube. Don't worry, this always goes on YouTube. So, Dev, can you link the YouTube, maybe link the YouTube channel and the blog if possible, guys. Do check that out. Everything goes on the YouTube channel, on Twitch, on X. It's everywhere. We can link the YouTube channel. We did publish a video on Flick a couple of days ago, and it's doing quite well. So check it out. Eric Garcia. Yeah, I would agree with Dev on that one. I don't see him as a long-term solution. I don't even see him as a very good solution at this moment. It's just the flaws that he's exhibiting still are just too much for me. I don't think that he turns well. I don't think that he can be the under pressure guy. I don't think that he can be that someone who can anchor the whole midfield. He has his thing. He can pass the ball nicely. So he can sometimes break lines and he can sometimes anticipate actions well. But no, I wouldn't say he started material or a long term solution for Barca. It's just well, let's see if he grows into the role though, because maybe you do need a couple of games more to kind of get the best out of him. But I think even the best of him is not going to be enough, not for this position at least. So, um, yeah, let's see what else. So yeah, this is the YouTube channel, guys. So do check it out, and it's on Twitch, of course. But we do have a lot of videos coming out, and all of this goes to YouTube as well, so you can watch it later on if it's too late or too early where you live just now. It is late and early with us as well. Late for me, early for Dev.
Yeah, it's
um,
just morning. I just woke up or watched the game and what have you, so on and so forth. So,
I know.
um,
No, we're not brothers. We don't live together. But yeah, the
no, no,
background
no,
behind
no.
us, this it's a kind of a green screen thing, right? So it's how do you call it? It's
Dom
a
lives in
visual
Scotland. I live in
example.
Sydney. We
Yeah.
can't be further
Yes.
away. And in
You know,
every sense
it's
of the term, it's like day and night. So we're
it's
not close at
literally
all.
day and night. Yeah, it's literally day and night, guys. But yes, yes. That's what we do is quite difficult. That's one of the reasons why we do live very far apart, and the time zones are not kind to us ever. So that's why we appreciate all the support from you guys and you watching this with us and commenting and visiting our web pages like the blog and the YouTube. It means the world because we do want to put this out into the world, but we would also like the world to read and watch our stuff as well. It would help us a lot. It would make all this worth it, and you do, guys. You make this worth it. So hopefully we can all grow together, learn together, and make this a bigger community than it is right now. It's
Yeah.
already amazing. It's amazing. I mean, just to see thousands of you guys here live after a defeat watching us ramble up with the game and pretending to be smart.
Yeah,
That's
seriously,
kind of
man.
that's kind of
We
more.
want to bring you in as well. I think we're figuring out how we can get you live on camera as well because we'd love to hear from you guys. It's not that we're no experts. Absolutely, we're just like normal fans like you. We just watch the game, we just talk about it. So it'll be good to have you guys as well on that. But that said, um, well, Dom, your book is not found in Nepal. That's
It's a
problematic.
it's a it's a publisher. Yeah, see, I still keep getting messages. The book is available largely in the UK, and then outside the UK, there was a limited number of books that were available. And once that was gone, and it was gone very quickly. I'm not bragging, but it was gone very quickly. And the publisher just did not send more or did not were not able to send more. I don't know. But I kept getting messages from I don't know, from India, from Germany, from the Scandinavian countries. They were not able to get the books. I don't know what happened. It was something to do with Brexit. I did not fully understand the reasoning, but I don't want to curse on live stream, but I got dumbed by the publishers a little bit. I mean, I'm grateful for them because I'm a newbie author. They allowed me to publish a book with them. They helped me with all that, but the distribution, the promotion of the book was horrible.
But
I
don't worry,
did
guys,
manage to
we're going to come up with more
yeah,
books. And we are
yeah,
going
we'll
to
get more
let
books in.
Tom be the author, and we are going to start our own publishing. So, yeah, you'll be
Yes.
able to read many more of Dom's book directly from the site itself. We're working towards it and building that through. So, just be patient a little bit. But the objective is to build and have books on players and so on and so forth. So, hopefully, we'll be able to solve some of that just going direct to all of you so that you can buy it directly online from us without having to depend on a publisher or what have you. So we'll come back to you on more of that. So one day you guys should tell us about yourself. We should actually. So we'll tell you a little bit about ourselves and then we will hang up for today. Tom, why don't you start and tell us about yourself?
About myself. All right, yeah, why not? So I'm I live in Scotland at the moment. I'm a full-time teacher, so this is not my full-time job, and neither it is Dev. So we don't do this for money. We just do this as a hobby at the moment, and we're trying to build this as a side hustle as of sorts. So I do teach as my full-time thing, and I do live in Scotland. I'm originally from Croatia, moved to Scotland with my wife to be actually next year. We got the date for our wedding next year. It's happening. Yeah, there she is smiling up there. Yeah. So I've been doing this analysis thing for the last 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. And Barca football has been going on for how many years left? 3 years, I think. 3, 4 years,
We'll be
something like
touching
that.
3 years soon. Yeah, we've
three
been doing this
years
for.
3 years soon. So that's kind of a short story. I'm not going to go in depth now because it's late and this has been going on for an hour and 3 minutes, so I'm going to keep it short. Dev, over to you real quick.
Yeah, no, so yeah, my name is Dev. I live in Sydney. In my day job, I work for Google. I do some other stuff. I've mostly been in tech for 20 years now. But I love football, and I have been supporting Barcelona for about, I don't know, 20, 25 years. have a card, have a associate card. I've gone there, watched a few games, met Dom because of his writing. Loved his writing, and he writes a lot. I used to be a journalist 25 years ago. I'm pretty old. It doesn't seem like that, but I am. But then I shifted into tech, and I've mostly been tech, and still that's my day job. That's what I do consistently.
Mhm.
And Dom's the writer, the teacher, and now we are both writing, and we are both trying to build this, and we have fun doing it. So we'll see what goes, but we enjoy it, and we've enjoyed it because people are like you. We met so many of you who have supported us and told us things that we didn't even expect because and now we feel that okay, maybe we can make this a little bit bigger than what it was. So we're working towards it, and
Exactly.
we just made a whole lot of changes. We'll make a few more, and we are in this for the long haul. So yeah, support us, be with us, write for us, do whatever, wherever you can help, it'll be great. And we'll be very, very happy to have any help that we get from all of you. And thank you so much for joining always. Thank you very, very much. And as they say, it sucks. We lost, but it's okay. We're not going to go and, do what we do, doom and gloom. Everything sucks. It's okay. It's fine. It's lost. Take it, move on with it. Let's hope for the best in the next game. And like they say, Vizca el Barça. Take care, guys.